How does a movie that starts out with so many positive things going for it just turn into a giant stinking pile of shit? Okay, everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1979, filmed in 78, released in 79. It's a little action movie, it's a little horror movie, it's a little alien movie, it's a little zombie movie. It doesn't know what the hell it is, really, but we'll get to all that in a little while. We're talking about The Dark. Yes, here we go. But before we go any further, before we dig into this gem anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
Somewhere in the dark of infinite space, there is a form of life that man has reason to fear. It is as old as the universe. It is real. It is evil. And now it is here. After fear, beyond terror, there is the dark.
All right, so a girl got murdered. What else is new?
Beheaded? Mutilated?
I loved her, Mooney. She didn't deserve to have her face torn to pieces just because she was alone at night on one of your streets.
Well, I'd think that you people could tell us whether or not he was black, white...
Whatever it is, gentlemen, he's inhumanly strong.
Another girl, Mooney?
I don't have to tell you nothing.
You're not talking to some kid, Mooney. You're talking to the father of a murdered girl.
4 killings, still no pattern. I mean, where the hell is the pattern?
Look, the flesh samples, they're consistent.
So? What are you getting at?
We have a creature that identifies with nothing known on Earth.
Devane, Cathy Lee Crosby, Richard Jaeckel, Keenan Wynn. Once they have felt the terror of the dark, there is only one way on earth they will ever see the dawn. Are you prepared for the terror of the dark? The dark. Not all alien encounters will be friendly.
All right, this motion picture was directed by John Bud Cardos. We're talking about the stunt man, stunt coordinator, actor extraordinaire, and he also directed a bunch of flicks. Let's go. We're talking about, he did one of my all-time favorites, Kingdom of the Spiders. We're talking about, he did Gore 2 and Drag Racer and Mutant and The Red, the White, and the Black and Skeleton Coast and Act of Piracy and The Daytime Ended. So, for me, really, it's this motion picture and it's Kingdom of the Spiders that I will always remember him for the most. One good, one... Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, we have a lot of names to get through. Let's start this off. Playing Roy, William Devane. You all know him. You all recognize him. Let's go. We're talking about, he's been in little things like Marathon Man and Payback and Space Cowboys and Rolling Thunder and The Bad News Bears Breaking Training and Hadley's Rebellion and Hollow Man and tons and tons of TV. 24, Knots Landing, Medical Center, Ironside, The Monroes, Stargate SG-1. What about Brian? So he was big career. Big career. I actually went to school with his niece, which was kind of crazy. But whatever, it doesn't make a difference. He was in this. That's all you need to know. Let's keep rolling. Playing Zoe, Cathy Lee Crosby. Not a huge career, but there's some things in there. We're talking about, she was in stuff like Coach. She was in Track Down and Ablaze, but really she was a TV person. You know, she was a Love Boat, Hardcastle McCormick, a Fall Guy, Emergency, Cannon. She was actually also Wonder Woman in the Wonder Woman movie in 1974, before Linda Carter, believe it or not. And to me, I'll always remember most for That's Incredible. Remember the TV show That's Incredible? Where they just find crazy shit, believe it without any question, and then say, hey, that's incredible. And it was her, like Fran Tarkin. Well, whatever. I'm going off on a tangent. Let's get back on track. Playing Mooney. Richard Jaeckel. Big career. Let's roll. We're talking about he has been in little things like Grizzly and Mako Jaws of Death and Chisholm and Latitude Zero and The Devil's Brigade and Flaming Star and 310 to Human, not the remake, the original, and the Gunfighter and The Violent Man and Sands of Iwo Jima and every TV show you can imagine, from Texan to the Untouchables, all that kind of shit. Gunsmoke, I even think. So he was on everything that you could imagine. Guy was around a lot. Playing Moss. How many times have I talked about him? You know I'm a huge fan. Keenan Wynn. Let's roll. He was in things like Piranha, which you know I already reviewed. He was in Coach and Laser Blast. He was in Orca, which I already reviewed. And he was in The Devil's Reign, which I already reviewed. And The Mechanic, and Pretty Maids All in a Row, and Stagecoach, and The War Wagon, and Herbie Rides Again, and Nashville, and Wavelength, and Best Friends, and more television than I could ever even humanly name here or now. So, you know I'm a fan. Guy was a legend to me. Keenan Wynn, just the way it is. Also playing Renzy, Jacquelyn Hyde. She was in a few things, nothing major. We're talking about she was in little things like Going Ape and Hard Knocks and Hopscotch and Take the Money and Run and They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And Approaching Omega. And she was on some TV shows here and there too. Whatever. She's not the biggest star in the world, but her role was one of the slightly larger ones in this, so I just kind of bring her up. Also, there's a whole bunch of other faces in this thing that you will see and you'll go, holy shit, he's in this? Yes, that's the way this goes. We're talking about people like Casey Kasem, come on, America's Top 40, and Warren Kemmerling, who was in Close Encounters and every TV show known to man, I shit you not, and Biff Elliot from like PT 109 and I the Jury, and Vivian Blaine, huge career, State Fair. Guys and Dolls. And we're talking Philip Michael Thomas from Miami Vice. Come on, he was young in this, but he's in it. And Vernon Washington from the Jeffersons. Come on, man, they are all in this thing. It's really kind of cool. It is the way it goes. And there's actually more than them, but we ain't got all day. So keep your eyes out. Keep looking around. You'll see all these people in there, more than I even mentioned. It'll be kind of fun. All right, everybody, I'm going to try to keep this 90 seconds or less. I can keep it short, keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving so we can get to where you'd much rather be. The summation, and let's face reality, the story of this thing is all over the goddamn place. So I'm going to try to give you a quick overview of it. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter because it's just in line with the motion picture. Anyway, you got this girl, she's leaving a movie theater one night, and you're following her, and you know something bad's going to happen just by the way the camera's following, just by the way the story's going. And it looks like this creep is going to attack her, but he doesn't. He just goes off on his own. But before you know it, you hear this giant roar, and she's dragged into an alleyway and basically strangled, murdered as leaves are falling on her. I don't know. A couple seconds later, you see her dad get the phone call. Oh, yes. Apparently her dad, William Devane, just got out the joint a few years ago because he killed a guy for, sleeping with his wife, kind of walked in on him. Anyway, but he didn't get to be in a lot of his daughter's life. It's the way that it goes. But he's in it now, and he's all upset. His daughter was killed. Obviously, you got these two cops that are trying to figure everything out. One of the cops is one of the ones that helped put him away into jail. And in the middle of it, you have a reporter, Cathy Lee Crosby, who just wants the big story. She's not really emotionally attached to anything but other than furthering her career, and all she wants to do is get involved in this so she can become a star reporter and stop doing bikini shows and gardens and stupid shit like that. Anyway, as time goes on, the zombie, alien, killer, whatever you want to call it, strikes again. And the cops obviously are trying to figure out what's going on. The people are getting a little bit freaked out. And the only person who seems to know what's going on to a slight degree is this psychic who is seeing these things go on in her head. And she knows an actor is about to get himself whacked by this thing at one point or another. So, you have William Devane trying to find the actor. Because if he finds the actor, you find the killer, whatever. But this thing goes out and it kills another person. And the whole city is getting amped up and ramped up. But sometimes he kills people by strangling them, and sometimes he kills people with laser beams out of his eyes, and what the hell is going on? It doesn't really make a difference. you get the idea. There's something running around the city. There's something killing everybody. There's a pissed off dad who's trying to find out who whacked his daughter. There's an ambitious reporter who will do anything to get ahead, including running around with the dad and seeing what she can pull off. You got 2 goddamn cops and a whole police force literally trying to find this thing and basically not really getting anywhere. And you have a community that is freaked out. And a psychic who's apparently seeing and hearing voices and all this weird shit that makes no sense whatsoever. That's the story. I don't know how to explain it any better than that. You have to watch and witness this thing to even get a grasp on what I'm explaining. Let's go to the summation. Okay, everybody. Does the dark work? No, not really. It doesn't work. Are there parts of it that have a charm? Yes, we'll get there in a moment. But I'm not going to sandbag you. I'm telling you, this thing has a myriad of issues, but not in the places that usually will throw something into the dirt. Let's get the big 3 out of the way. The directing? Actually, the directing is actually kind of fine, really. I mean, Cardos really knows how to frame a shot and make it look good. And the way the cinematography is done in this motion picture, yes, there's times when the screen is way too dark, especially if you see like a VHS copy of this thing. It's way too dark. But the way they frame the shots, the way they light a lot of the shots, has that cool 70s vibe, that cool lighting, and Cardos knows how to put a camera someplace to make shit look good. So the directing is actually not a problem. The writing? Well, the writing actually, for this kind of motion picture, and we'll get to what kind of motion picture that is in a moment, the writing is actually not even that bad. It's really not. When I say writing, I mean dialogue. I don't mean story. But the writing is actually not that bad as far as dialogue. Some of it's heavy-handed, some of it's character, basically like cartoonish, but what you would see in a motion picture like this, it's not atrocious. It is what it is. The acting? Yeah, I mean, you have actually good actors in this thing. Keenan Wynn delivers great. William Devane, the way they had him play the character we'll get to, but William Devane's a solid guy, so, you know what I mean? You get a respectable performance. Cathy Lee Crosby, she does okay. She's not that bad. Richard Jaeckel, I think, plays it really overly heavy-handed. I mean, I don't know if they told him to do it. I don't know if they asked him to do it, but it's kind of cartoon buffoon. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But it's Richard Jaeckel. You know the guy has some street cred. You know he's been around for a long time. He does what he does. And the acting for this kind of motion picture is actually above water. So take that for what it's worth. Okay, so I literally just told you the directing's actually fairly good. The acting is actually not bad. And the writing is sufficient. So what happened to this motion picture? Simply, you have a story that makes no sense. Of all the movies I've ever reviewed, ever, this motion picture probably has the most nonsensical, hackneyed, insane story you've ever seen in your life. It's just feeling like somebody jumped into the kitchen and kept mixing up all the ingredients and then pulling parts out and sticking parts in, and nothing makes any sense. We'll just go down a little bit of this. First off, William Devane as the father who just lost his daughter, except for the moment when he kind of collapses at the phone booth, literally, none of his actions make any sense. None. Yes, he's following the cops around to make sure they actually investigate this thing. Yes, he's following the cops around to make sure that they find the killer. But really, he's taking this shit extremely well. I mean, literally, as he's trying to find out what Cathy Lee Crosby knows, he's spending more time flirting with her and fucking around. Where you're just like, is there a disconnect with this dude? Maybe he's acting that way just to get her on his side. I don't know. But the character and the way he plays him is not really believable or likable. I mean, Devane's doing what he can, but let's be honest. Also, you got the Cathy Lee Crosby character, who really is just this overambitious reporter, and that makes the part of the motion picture that really hurt. And that is, if you have a motion picture where you don't really like most of the people and most of the characters, and you have a hard time relating with them, you're going to have a hard time relating to the motion picture. And this motion picture does not give you people that you really, A, care about, or B, can relate to. They just don't. A little possibly, but they just don't. When you throw in the added effect of having a story that makes no sense. You got this psychic running around, and you're like, why is she even in this motion picture? She really could have been written out of this motion picture. It doesn't even need to be there. She's somehow having a psychic connection with this thing, which, by the way, if everybody doesn't know, originally, and there's two versions of what people say on the internet, so who the hell knows, this motion picture was originally developed with the killer, which is supposed to be this psychopath kind of a character who was like mentally disturbed and lived in a house and all this other kind of shit. But when Alien came out, they made it into a space movie. So they took this motion picture and they literally said, we're going to take it, we're going to go back, we're going to put some overlay special effects, which are going to jump out at you, by the way, because literally people were supposed to die in other ways, and then literally you see them being blown up by a monster shooting lasers out of his eyes. Makes no sense, has no continuity. And then you see things in the papers where, like, oh, the person got their head ripped off and they're all mutilated and all that and blah, 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 blah. But you just watch them get evaporated and exploded by laser beams shooting out of the eyes because they decided to take this motion picture, which was supposed to be about a psycho killer, or, as some reports are, just a zombie, and literally turned it into a Alien from Space motion picture by adding some shit in at the end and literally changing some of the scenes that had already been shot. That's why when you watch this thing, and by the way, in the beginning they try to explain some of this bullshit with like a scrolling thing in the beginning of it about there's life in other worlds, and they put this cheesy animated thing landing from space, I guess, or a meteor, whatever the fuck it is. You don't really get to see it. And then you're sitting there saying, okay, this is a space alien. But it's not a space alien. It's just an extremely tall guy, kind of in homeless people clothes, that you can't figure out how does he ever blend into society, because he's like 7.5 feet tall and he's all mutilated with big red glowing eyes. Where does he go when he's not killing people? How does he blend into society? You think that my man is going to stick out. How does he get around town? You'll see him coming. Nothing makes sense in this motion picture. Not a goddamn thing. The story makes no sense. The murders make no sense. As they film something and then you see a scene 2 minutes later that doesn't even really relate to what you just watched, the person caught with their head ripped off and their face scarred. No, I just watched them get evaporated and explode with laser beams. They didn't even try. They didn't even try. They would have been so much better off if they just left this motion picture literally as what it was supposed to be and didn't go into the alien angle. It actually would have been kind of entertaining. It was actually something that could have been watchable. It's something that could have meant something. But instead, somebody at the last minute said, oh, space aliens are in. We had Star Wars, we had Alien, we had Star Trek, we got to do something with a killer monster from space. And they manipulated the movie like mad. Now, this is the part where half of you are going to look at me and say, this guy's on drugs. Not the case. Never did shit like that. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. Is this movie worth watching? I'm going to tell you something, you're going to shit your bricks. I would say, yeah. It's not a great motion picture. It's flawed beyond all belief. But if you want to watch something that has a good cast and good directing, that is so bad it's almost semi-entertaining, just so you can kind of laugh at it and make fun of the plot holes and just literally shit on the continuity errors, then it's not actually the worst thing I've ever seen. Come on, I'm not saying it's great, but if like you watch Jack Palance Without Warning, and then maybe after that threw on a little bit of The Curse of Bigfoot, and then said, fuck it, I'm just going to cap this night off and toss in The Dark. Yes, it's bad. Yes, it makes no sense. But if you want to watch some 70s cheese, and I do mean cheese, and if you want to watch a movie that you could almost fall asleep to because it doesn't really move at a breakneck pace, although there are moments that come and go, you can watch this thing. Yes, the cops are unbelievably mean for no apparent reason and busting this guy's chops. Whatever. Yes, the dad doesn't seem to give a shit about his daughter other than he feels it's his duty to do so. Whatever. And yes, the reporter is basically out just to further her career. Okay. But you'll see a lot of faces. You'll see a lot of stars and say, holy shit, he was in this? She was in this? Get out of here. You'll see some decent directing. You'll see some cheesy effects. You'll hear some goofy monster roars. And actually the last 5 minutes of it, when the entire police force is descending on this alien, is actually semi-entertaining. So, that being said, go to YouTube. It's out there for free. Watch it when you've got nothing else to do. And I wouldn't say you're going to enjoy yourself, but you'll remember this shit. Okay, everybody. Once again, and as always, be good, take care, stay out of trouble. Be good to a friend, be kind to a stranger. But above all else, under no circumstances, at any time, for any reason, take any bullshit from anybody. See y'all soon.